Hi there. Welcome to Business Leadership Podcast. In this podcast, I interview business leaders and industry experts to share their knowledge and experience to help you grow your business. I truly believe that sometimes single insight can completely change your business directions and help you achieve your business goals. In this episode, I interviewed Dany Assaf. Dany is a lawyer by trade and recently published a book called Say Please and Thank You and Stand in Line. In this book, Dany shares very interesting his family story and also what makes Canada such a great country. The second part of my discussion with Dany, we talk about international business market, where Canadian company fits into that market, what is our competitive advantage, what obstacles Canadian businesses face when they go and compete on internationally, and also what makes a Canadian company such a success in international market as well. I think you're going to enjoy both parts of my discussion with Dany. He tells such an interesting story in his book and also share great insights when it comes to international trade as well. So until next time, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Enjoy this episode. We'll talk soon. Hi guys, welcome to Business Leadership Podcast. Today my guest is Dany Assaf. Dany is a lawyer and he also is the author of a new book, Say Please and Thank You and Stand in Line. And Dany also had authored an article in Talent Canada as well. I also want to talk about it. Dany, I'm looking forward to this discussion, both on your book and also on international business experience as well. Thank you so much for your time and welcome to podcast today.
Wonderful, Gurmeet. Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you for including me in your discussions. And I want to thank in advance your viewers and followers who would take the time to listen to our discussion. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So talk about a little bit of your background, Dany. What you were doing, what got you interested in writing this book?
Yeah. Well, my background is I was born and I grew up in Edmonton, Alberta. Mm-hmm. So my real background is, and I joke all the time, I'm a failed hockey player who became a lawyer. So I'm still waiting for my chance to be in the NHL. I'm thinking maybe it's less likely now.
Yeah.
So I grew up in Alberta and my family, my great-grandfather came to Canada in the 1920s. My book is about that. And they came as early Muslim immigrants. They built the first mosque in Canada in 1938 in Edmonton, Alberta, which is a beautiful part of Canadian history. We could talk a little bit more about that. Mm-hmm. And then I came to Toronto to go to law school. And I remained here, and my mother still has not forgiven me. She keeps asking me when I'm coming home 25 years later. Yeah. And now I have, a new home, and I have Alberta is always here in my heart. And Toronto is where my family is. I have 4 kids and a beautiful wife and partner who I met at law school. Mm-hmm. And of course, it's in this beautiful basket called Canada. Yeah. And we all love our country, and we know, even with the mistakes we've made and the imperfections, that it's still a special place when we look around the world. Mm-hmm. And there are people and there are forces that are maybe dividing us and making us less sure of who we are. And really, that's why I ended up writing the book, because we all love our country and we want to do something small, big, whatever we can to try to keep our country united and strong and inclusive, because we know that a strong, united, inclusive Canada is going to be the most prosperous and the most peaceful, which is going to provide the best life for us and our kids. So for me, I'm a lawyer. What do I know? I didn't get to play hockey, so I wrote a book about my family's history, my story, but really it's our Canadian story in so many ways.
Okay, so let's talk about book. You mentioned that your family built a first mosque in Edmonton. Did they pass on information? What kind of challenges they had experienced when they were building this mosque? Did they get any pushback from community, or was it acceptable? Compared to the challenges we see today, what kind of obstacles they had to deal with?
The stories that are told are that there were no obstacles, that they came, they worked, they gave back to the community. Mm-hmm. And that people help them. Non-Muslims, Christians, Jewish people, whoever, the people of that time in Edmonton, including politicians, the mayor of Edmonton, and the person who was leading the building of a mosque was a woman, a Muslim woman, originally from Lebanon. Her name was Hilwi Hamdan. Mm-hmm. And she worked this woman is, again, a pioneer in terms of what women accomplished in this country a very long time ago. And she championed this mosque, and it became a reality. And it was really the first little mosque on the prairie. It was the first one. And it became a reality because Canadians of all backgrounds and all religions helped them make it a reality and made sure that they had a real place and space in Canada. So this is, again, there are so many stories like this. This is our tradition in Canada. We have made mistakes, and there have been other experiences, but we're storytellers. Humans, we tell stories based on lived experiences. This was a lived experience. This is a big part of the heritage of Canada, and this is the heritage we want to preserve and we want to grow, because we know our peace and prosperity is tied to this, even more so today than maybe in the past, because the way the world is interconnected. So those are the stories they tell, Gurmeet. They talk about how people help them do these things. So that's why I also talk in my book how things fell apart, and especially after 9/11, and where people accused my parents, a neighbor, of being, Osama bin Laden. Somebody put a sign that pointed to my parents' house after all this history. Something terrible, a terrorist, criminal, murderous act is committed in New York City, thousands of miles away, and it pits a neighbor in Edmonton against another neighbor and changes the whole story, or tries to change the whole story of who we are as a family and who Muslims are within Canada. And if that can happen, and then not only is that terrible for us, but it means if one of us can be vulnerable like this, then any of us can be.
Yeah.
Because somebody can turn the narrative against us. So I also wrote the book to tell the story of how we all have to protect, and we all have an obligation to protect the place and space of one another, because as they say, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link.
So that incident, somebody put a sign on their lawn and they're pointing to your house, I guess, right?
Yes.
Wow.
A neighbor who we knew. And I tell the story, this neighbor, her son spent time in our home because it was a single mother. The son would come home, no one at home. My mother would, invite him in, and he would, spend time and have snacks and so on. So to this day, we don't really know what caused that. But, we think it's just the way that Muslims were portrayed, and it made somebody question their own community and their own experience. And it made them identify and point at my parents as this Osama bin Laden caricature.
We talk about media influence, or simply just lack of information, or just not getting all the proper information, right? Just it could be any of that stuff, but when it happened, it kind of triggered a lot of things, right?
It is. So that's why the stories we tell are really, really important, because they shape how we see our community and our world around us. If somebody comes in every day and tells you you're bad, or every day they tell you the world is ending, it will have an impact on you. It's different than somebody coming and saying, you know what, you're going to succeed today. The world has opportunity. How do our kids, are there anything more precious than our children? Nothing more precious than our children. So what's the world we want to create with our children? It's marrying the reality and the challenges of reality. It's not naivete. We're not blind to these things. But if you have life, you have hope.
Yeah.
What's the point of life?
Yeah.
If you have the gift of life, you honor that gift by having hope in tomorrow. So what do we tell our kids? Yes, there are challenges. Yes, beware. Yes, there are people maybe who will not help you, or worse. But you are filled with potential. Yeah. You have talent, and you have a path to have a great life. Yeah. Believe that. We teach our kids that. We want to instill that in our kids. And it's the same thing for our broader community.
Mm-hmm.
We take our lived experiences, we learn from our mistakes, and we try to project the most positive path forward for our sake and for the sake of those around us.
We live in a beautiful country full of opportunities. There's no shortage of opportunities. When you live in a land like with opportunities, there's no reason not to be, thinking that. You talk about Raptors winning NBA in your book as well. That was a moment of unity that we united every culture, every ethnicity in a city or in a country. Talk about a little bit of that. What made you think that it united everybody?
It was a fascinating. Well, first, it was a lot of fun to watch them win. That was, that was just incredible to watch that team accomplish what it did. But, that day that we had the celebration in the city, it was for me, kind of a moment that crystallized so many of the things that we observe on a day-to-day basis, and we try to understand them. But then you need, sometimes it's as they say, it's captured in a moment. So my family, like everybody else in Toronto, they wanted to be a part of this celebration, which was beautiful. So that in the midst of everything, we all could take the time to enjoy a common, celebration, which is always nice, no matter what our differences are.
Yeah.
And then I went to meet them because I was at work in the morning. They came. And, I was walking through the underground. I work downtown, and it's usually like this, so busy. And it was so quiet. But what was odd was when I went through the underground, because I thought, I knew the system down there. It's a bit of a maze. So I thought, wow, this is one time where it's going to pay to know how this underground world connects. I told them I'll meet them at Nathan Phillips Square. So I knew exactly where to take the stair from the parking lot in basically City Hall.
Calculated.
This years of experience. And I came up, two things struck me. First, the difference between the quiet of this underground path, where people come and work every day, and the millions, the hundreds of thousands of people above me. So I'm silent. It's like everybody is, gone. But yet, really, one floor above me, there are hundreds of thousands of people. Because what it represented to me was the city stopped. It meant our day stopped. Everything that we were planning that day stopped. That was the first thing. And the second thing, just that experience of coming up those stairs and, the sunlight, beautiful sunny day we all remember. And then this sea of people with smiles and every color of the rainbow, white, brown, black, everything in between. It was really that moment that captured for me this city and what it really is. And then I thought first, wow, this is a big celebration. Can you imagine how big it would be if the Leafs won? And then I stopped and I thought, but would it? And that for me captured that, you can have a beautiful tradition. I love hockey. But maybe, you can have a new tradition that represents something new, and it doesn't take away from your old tradition. Even it may be bigger. It may take over your old tradition, but all it does is give you more things to celebrate. It doesn't diminish the beauty of something you've always loved to. You have two. It's okay. We have the capacity to love more than one thing and more than one team. And that for me was another realization of how progress can also really be beautiful in every way.
Before that, we never had that kind of celebration in the city, right? It was long overdue. We never had that kind of event where everybody can come together, right? So that was the first. It's like everybody waiting for something to happen so we can celebrate together.
Yes, it's in us to want to share that. And it's beautiful to have the opportunities to express that. And we had it. And God willing, we'll have more. Let's hope those Leafs win.
Okay. On another note, I want to talk about something happening over the last year or so. events happening south of the borders, people are so divided there. Definitely we're not as divided as people in the south of the border. You think those events also influence us, our culture as well in Canada, that we see on the media that they're so divided on a many different grounds. Even on a vaccine, they're divided. So many events happen in the summer, whereas the Black Life Matters, that those and the social awareness, that those kind of events came out. There's so many different. And recently, in Canada, we have Native Indians. We have a few incidents. So these events, and sometimes they play it more in a politics that it's simply that event itself. You think those brings a lot of negativity to the unity in a people?
Yeah, I think they can. I think, to what we were speaking about earlier, firstly, where this information overload, we are, pummeled with messages and information, and we can't help but notice the discussion that's going south of the border. So firstly, sometimes if you think of, you have friends, right? And you can have a very good relationship with somebody, but somebody maybe for whatever reason, maybe for fun sometimes, they will tell you something in your ear. Oh, you like Gurmeet, or you like Dany, but you know what he said about you the other day?
Yeah.
And you're like, what? Well, he said, you didn't look good on TV. you look like you were,
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it puts an idea. It was never in your head. It was never even in your head before, and it can play with your mind. So just at a very basic level, it can introduce ideas that are just, maybe not even relevant, but they make you think like that. And it can then shape how you perceive things. Okay.
I see.
The second part is, there is a commonality in the issues that we're seeing in the United States and in Canada, because if our societies are evolving in many of the same ways. And it all comes around to this constant journey to make our societies more just. I mean, we are not perfect. They will never be. And as a lawyer, I know this. It will not be completely just, because we are imperfect, but we always try to make it more just. And within that, we discover things that maybe we have been less just than other things, because we paid attention to something more, or somebody did have some, preference, or whatever it is. This happens in life.
Yeah.
But then it's when you discover that, what do you do with that? What's the lesson to learn? The lesson to learn is to improve it for everybody, to make it more inclusive. And you referenced the Talent Canada piece that I wrote, and I have this idea of towards a more inclusive meritocracy, because these are the things that we can, I think, all agree on. Firstly, any person, no matter who you are, where your heritage, what's your religion, we all like to be acknowledged for our good work. All of us, for our ideas, for our participation, for for our productivity, our outcomes. Who doesn't like that? Yeah. Every human being likes that. Yeah. You did a good job. There's no human being who doesn't like to hear those words and be rewarded for that. That unites us all. So this meritocracy is in us as humans. We all want to be here. You did a good job, and be rewarded for that. The problem is when we discover it's not including everybody. It's not this system is not including everybody. So we want to pick everybody up and bring them in to participating in a society, in an economy where you can all put your passion and productivity to work, and we can all be rewarded and be acknowledged for the things that we do. That still remains something that we can agree on, and we will all find fulfillment in. But when we find, whether it's our Indigenous brothers and sisters, whether it's our Muslim brothers and sisters, Jewish brothers and sisters, Hindu, Sikh, Black, white, all of us, we want everybody to benefit from this and to look ahead and to learn from the past, but not repeat the past, and not repeat the past in a way that just creates more division. Because there's another danger. And being of Lebanese heritage, I see this in Lebanon today, where it becomes sectarian, where all that matters is what you represent, what your religion is, what your thing.
Wow.
We also don't want to create a society where all that we do is we talk about what our religion is and what our heritage is. We don't want that either, because it denies our common humanity. What we share in common is our humanity. And in the book, I have this saying, that today, with the challenges that we see in the world, whether it's climate change, whether it's the interconnectedness of the economy, whether it's security, global security, it is humanity. Yes, we're tribal. Yeah, humans are tribal.
Yeah.
But today we have to ask, to survive, who's your tribe? Our tribe is humanity, is our tribe. Because we don't know where opportunity lies. You don't know who your employee, your supplier, your customer, your employer, who's going to be signing your check. You don't know what they're going to look like. And if you may know, but you don't know what your kids, who is going to give opportunity to your kids. So today, we are all look one another as potential allies, not certain enemies.
Especially
that's where our opportunity lies.
Especially in Canada, we have probably every people from every country out there. So much opportunities. We are one of those diverse society. But talk about your experience with the international businesses, Dany. How do you involve? Looks like your sis company in mergers or acquisition side, or if you can talk about where your experience is and how you help companies.
So my area of specialty is foreign investment review and competition law. And I've spent a lot of time working overseas, Europe, Asia, the Middle East, the Gulf, United States. I've had the opportunity to meet and work with people around the world. And more than ever, what you realize is the world is filled with very capable people. People where in the past, maybe we didn't think about, countries we didn't see as competitors. And we didn't appreciate what they could do and what the potential of these countries and these people in these countries are. And it's extraordinary. And when you get out, you realize, well, firstly, you're very proud of being Canadian, and you realize the special place Canada is, but you also realize how small Canada is. And then you think, well, how does this country of 38 million people stay relevant 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now, when there's even more people who are competing with you? How do you do that? And how do you maintain this way of life? We have a pretty high living standard. How do 38 million people do that in a world of 7 or 8 billion people? It's one thing only. It's using this more than this.
So what are we going to do?
Being able to leverage this inclusive country and make sure that all 38 million people are able to participate.
So where do we stand? That was my, my thought process. Where do we stand as a business community, or economically compared to other countries? And what do we have to get to? Why our business community is so small? Why don't we produce more people who want to be in a business and build this country or build the companies so we can compete on that scale that what you just mentioned?
So I think we are doing that more. That's the good news. And we have some very good progress there. I think the challenge that we had is not that, people always say, are Canadians entrepreneurial? Aren't they entrepreneurial? It's like, we're not born one way or another. You're a product of your environment. We've been blessed in our history economically. I'll just put economic. Firstly, this country grew out of a relationship and a history with the United Kingdom, with Britain. It was the largest economy in the world. And then after that, we're neighbors to the next biggest economy in the history of humanity. It's the United States. And we benefit so much common culture. We speak the same language. We like basketball. We like the same sports. We eat, the same food, hamburgers and chicken. We have so much in common, and we forget how hard it is to earn business. in a completely new part of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And we think that it's, as I'm not going to say it's easy, but we forget how much time it takes to build trust, patience, investment.
Mm-hmm.
Your whole benchmarking changes when you're going to a new country.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you're from a successful business in Canada or a big company in Canada, no one owes you anything. No one's waiting for you. They're not waiting for anybody. The world's not waiting for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So why are they going to wait for us? So we have to go with humility, with patience, and to be able to make sure we put in the work, the effort, the time to build those trusts and to build those relationships. And that is, for us, I think it's a bit of a learning curve,
Mm-hmm.
because we're not used to that it takes maybe years to grow business. But as any business person knows, doesn't matter how good a customer may be, you have to have more than one customer.
Yeah.
You can't, no, the customer could get hit by a bus. It's not that they're going to become your enemy. They run out of money. They get distracted. Who knows? And you have to have more than one supplier. You can't. What business operates with more than one supplier? And that's the same applies to Canada. Being able to make sure that now we really take advantage of the diversity of our society.
Mm-hmm.
And every one of us is like a potential sales agent for these parts of the world because of our connection and our understanding of these different places. So now is the time we should have a competitive advantage.
Yeah.
And when our diversity is really should pay off in terms of economic growth. Mm-hmm. This is our time.
Yeah.
We have a chance to make the next chapter the best one yet.
Yeah, it boggles my mind sometimes thinking about it. Hey, listen, we have more natural resources than any other country put together. We have a best talent, tech talent, or any other talent, in Ontario, right? We have a labor from all parts of the world, that skilled labor that you could imagine. Right? When you have all those resources, we have access to US, right next to a border. When you have everything aligned, why can't you compete on an international scale? What are we lacking? What you mentioned that. Yeah, we need to capitalize on that. But, definitely, I think schools, I don't know if you share the same views. Do our schools or universities have to do a better job educating our kids that, hey, listen, you get ready for this competition. You need to scale on these areas, and you need to be better equipped when it comes to diversity and sell yourself in international markets.
No, you make a very good point. So, firstly, the people of Canada are its best resource, as you were suggesting. Mm-hmm. That is our most valuable resource. We have an incredible education system. The institutions are incredible. You may find a better university here, but as an average, an incredibly sophisticated and capable education system. Mm-hmm. But what we need to do is what you're alluding to is we need to refine our message and to refine our priorities and to make sure that we are training our kids for the 21st century economy. Mm-hmm. So it's making sure that we have this information that's coming back to them. That is, firstly, we create these stories of rewarding entrepreneurship and independence and making sure that they are encouraged to remain creative and innovative. And then also, in today's marketplace, making sure that they get information that tells them where the market opportunities are. Like today, everyone has the choice to study what they like, but any student would want to know, the economy is growing in engineering or the economy is growing in coding. To give kids this information, because we need to get more sharp in connecting what we're teaching them and giving kids full information package of how to translate that into a 21st century career and job. And then the other part is our economy has been, I believe, and it's served us well, geared towards supporting industry. Because industry was what fueled the last, economic revolution in the world in human history. But today, it's really technology, just like you and I are talking. Those tools have been democratized. They're available to us all. So we need to shift the focus of our economy from from industry to the individual. What tools do we need to make sure we get into the hands of individuals to make sure that they can plug into the economy here and abroad as efficiently and as effectively as possible? What are those tools? And that's the part where now we need policy to be married with education, to be connected with where the opportunities are. And again, 38 million people, the good side of that is we can easier to kind of, I don't like the word organize, but manage 38 million people. You can get a little more precise. And that should be our competitive advantage. Fantastic people, the right plan, the right tools, and being able to mobilize more quickly than others.
You think immigration, bringing a student from overseas, or bringing people, educated people on a merit system, is that still a part of that a winning strategy? You think that still we still rely on that for us to win globally?
Of course, and I don't know. I have history, I don't know a lot about history. I read like everybody else, so I'm not an expert in history. But the greatest societies in the world, when we read history, what's the commonality? Oh, Rome was a fantastic city. Baghdad was an amazing city. London, amazing city. New York. What's the number one thing about all of these places? They attracted the best people from around the world. Just the simple stories of human history and how cities became great. It always starts with everybody went to this city. So it's not new. It's the same idea. Why? Yeah, it's nice. We welcome people. We're good people. Of course, hospitality, our common humanity, of course, but it's also selfish. These people bring new ideas and new energy and hard work, and they make a city bigger, better, brighter. Again, it's really just having history repeat itself in the 21st century, in the modern age. So yes, of course, what worked 1,000 years ago and 2,000 years ago, I think it still works today. I don't think that's a trend. I think that's a human reality.
One key item we mentioned on discipline and hard work, that work ethics that people bring from different countries, because I employ a lot of tech skills. These people, when they come from different countries, they're driven, and more than even Canadian kids that born and grew up in Canada. They are driven. They have a goals. They have a mission. What they want to achieve, and no shortage of hard work and discipline. Much easier to train them on what you want to achieve than compared to our own kids in Canada. My kids, but including my kids.
Including my kids, because it's very simple. This hunger, this desire for a better life, it's normal. I'm a competition lawyer. That's what I do every day, and this is why I always have hope in tomorrow. Because without any guidance, we are driven to provide for our families and the ones we love. Doesn't matter, you're left, you're right, you're center. Who doesn't want to provide for themselves and their loved ones? Everybody wants to do that. Everybody wants to do that. And if you are starting from a place where there is more need and you've come from abroad to start a new life, 95% of those people are driven exactly like you described, not because they're better or worse, but because of their situation and their common human desire to provide a better life for themselves and their children. So with my kids, I'll speak for my kids, what do we want to replicate with our kids? We want them to make the most of their potential, right? Your son or daughter, you want them to make the most of their potential because you see this in them, and you want them to realize that not just for money, but to make them feel like they lived a productive and full life. So what are the things we try to teach them? We try to teach them to remain hungry and to realize on that potential, even though they're comfortable, even though they have, God willing, we can provide for them if you're fortunate. you still want to replicate and give that message that your life is about more than that. It's about realizing your potential and making the most and contributing. You have something beautiful to contribute to the world and your community. Put it out there. And replicating that, it's true. It gets a little harder when you're enjoying the beautiful things that Canada provides. It can, but hopefully we all will find ways to remain productive, and the opportunities will be there for new Canadians, for original Canadians, the Indigenous Canadians, and for us Canadians who have been fortunate to have been here for a longer time. For everybody, Black, white, brown, everybody's children deserves that. And that's what Canada's about. And that's a bit back to the title of my book, Say Please and Thank You and Stand in Line. These words were shared with my father from the son of Lebanese immigrants, actually the son of the woman who championed the mosque in the 1930s. Her son is named Munir Hamdan. He's 94 years old. He's like 50 years old. He is so youthful. But he shared those words with my father 60 years ago. And he told him, always remain proud of your heritage, of course. Of course. And the things that are important to you and your faith. But also it's a two-way street in Canada. Everybody says, say please and thank you and stand in line. So it's two things that are fascinating about this and why it's such powerful words for me. Is firstly, it's nice to be like that. It's very civilized. And it also means you respect and you expect to be respected, no matter who you are. No matter who you are. Everybody, this is the foundation of equality. And the other part of it is, if you think of it as a membership criteria, everybody could say please and thank you, stand in line. Doesn't matter what your heritage is, what your religion is. It's the most inclusive membership criteria you can imagine. That's what essentially all you have to do, and you can be Canadian. And it's something that everybody can enjoy and do for one another.
Very interesting. When I talk about that, what you mentioned about the hunger, I know because you have a love for sports, and I came from sports background. Can that be teachable? Is that a teachable? Can you teach that to the kids? Is it possible even in a sports? I tried my way. My son, he was playing high school football, and great QB, great arm, and he had a good potential to be QB. Told by all the coaches, hunger's not there. And I spent years and months with them. And listen, if you can even have a 10% of my drive that I have in a business, if you have kind of a 10%, you'll be great QB.
I know.
But it just didn't work. He got distracted, easily distracted because in high school, he's young. So I started wondering, is that if the hunger is in you, can you transfer that? Can you teach your kids to be hungry and be driven?
Yeah, such a great question. And we all struggle with that. And we're all imperfect at it. And you kind of try, right? You kind of try. And I think it can be instilled. It can't be taught for a particular outcome. We played hockey, my kids played soccer, football, they played it all. I really wanted my son to play quarterback, by the way. So at least you got to see your son play quarterback. And I talk about how my son, he took at the 100th anniversary of the Grey Cup, he took the flag to center field on behalf of all Canadian youth, because in grade 7, when he was 11, he won MVP to be quarterback.
Wow.
And then he never played again. And I played quarterback when I was in high school too. And I couldn't get him to do it. So I went through the same thing like every parent. So if we're expecting a particular outcome, like I want them to be a great hockey player or a lawyer or a football player, I don't think we can do that. But what we can do is we can tap in, because of our love for them, into, on a more general level, you have much to share with the world. You have value, you have worth. I don't know how you will express that. I don't know where it will show itself, but always search for that. Not for me, but for your own dignity and your own peace of mind and your own sense of having a fulfilling life.
Mm-hmm.
And we as parents have to be open to what that may be. We have to be open. So I think that's the best we can do.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best we can do. And probably who knows if I'm good at it. I think my wife is the one who mainly taught the good things anyway. And if you're lucky, they have beautiful, they have parents and grandparents and teachers and people around them that if we fail, somebody else will will do our job for us. But I think that's the best we can hope for as parents sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes you wish that the drive in you, that if you can transfer that, hey, listen, you got all the skills better than I do. Just have a little bit of drive.
I know.
Interesting. I see that in the kids that they came from overseas. Even short of opportunities wherever they were, great hunger. They're driven. These people. When I look at that and say, listen, can we transfer that into our Canadian kids? And
I know.
That'd be great.
I know.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. So then what we hope is a rising tide raises all the boats.
Yeah. Interesting. So any message that you want to leave for business leaders who are watching? COVID just finished. We almost other side of COVID. We have to build these companies again. We have to increase the revenues again. We have to get back in excelling, scaling of businesses again. Any message you want to give to this business leader? Say, listen, what happened? Let's just move on and let's just build those companies and scale. Looks like a great opportunities internationally. We got work to do there.
Yeah. The message is to make sure that we seize the opportunities that we see and to keep an open mind for where those opportunities will be anywhere in the world. You do not know where your future lies. Mm-hmm. And secondly, to identify and always be vigilant in trying to break down any barriers in your organization to the fundamental, most valuable thing that any leader can do is ensure the best person gets the job and gets the promotion, and to try to find out, is there something in our organizations mm-hmm. that is preventing that? And secondly, to always keep our mind open that someone who may be best for that job does not have to look like me or come from my same experience. Mm-hmm. You never know where that potential lies, and all towards the more we strive to creating a more inclusive meritocracy, that our businesses and our country will be the strongest, God willing, it's ever been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know human potential is unlimited, especially in a country like us with all the resources, everything we got around us. Got to be thankful that tons of opportunities. It's our business community got to push harder. We got to teach our kids to find new ideas. Exchange new ideas, find new opportunities, and just grow at it.
And don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah,
it's not normal that everything you do. Here's a news flash: everything we do will not succeed. Whether it's in our personal lives or in our business, it's okay to fail, but make sure we learn something from that and we just come out it better, stronger, and more prosperous.
Yeah, I had the same discussion with my son, actually, 22 years old, and he hesitant about that failing and making a mistake. I'm like, if you cannot fail at this age, what are you trying to do? When are you going to fail?
Exactly.
Make some mistakes. Go make some mistakes and learn something.
Exactly. It's normal.
Yeah.
It's normal. You fail to learn, and that is an asset. The learning, the experience, it has value in and of itself.
And you can't replace that learning. You cannot replace that learning, but you're going to learn from making a mistake.
Exactly.
No books will teach you that.
That's it. It's part of the normal process and how any business or even career evolves.
Yeah. I have a saying that you only fail if you give up. If you don't give up, you never fail.
Absolutely. I'm going to remember that. Now I'm going to use that too. Thank you for reminding me of that. You're absolutely right, Gurmeet.
If you give up, that is the only time you fail. If you don't give up, just get some feedback, change your approach, go back at it. You're never going to fail.
That is the truth. You fall off the horse, as we learn in life, what the most important thing is, you pick yourself up, you dust yourself off, and you get back on that horse and keep riding. You're absolutely right.
Thank you. Very interesting. Where can people find this book, and where can they connect with you if they want to have a discussion with you or they want to reach out to you?
Fantastic. So this book is available in all the bookstores, Indigo. You can get it online on Amazon. You can get it from also our publisher, Sutherland House Books, as well. And they can reach me. I have a website, danyassaf.com as well.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I enjoyed the book. I'll definitely recommend everybody to just have a discussion with you, or take a look at take a look at books. There's stories that you told, and your love for this country reflects from every story you're telling. I was just blown away that how much you love this country.
Well, it's given us many of us a lot, and we want to keep that for ourselves and share it with our community and our neighbors. Can I show the book? This is the book.
For sure. Perfect. And I'm going to include a link below the video as well, a link to your website and to the book as well, so people can just click a link and they can order the book as well.
Thank you, Gurmeet. What a pleasure to spend this time with you and with your followers and your viewers. And I wish everybody the most prosperous and peaceful future yet.
Great. Thank you so much for your time, Dany.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure. Thank you. Take care.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.